Hey, Soraya.
Hey, Jeff.
So today we should be a pretty special episode. We had talked to Russ Tolman and Gavin Blair before about the upcoming, at that time, True West box set. But now we have it. So we have the 3 CD box set. And today, Ronnie is joining us. I'm still bummed that mine's not signed. But Ronnie will be joining us today, and we'll also be talking to the 2 producers of this fabulous CD box set, and that's Pat Thomas.
Yes.
And a first-time guest, Jim Huie. So he's been drumming for the band. So this should be pretty fun.
I agree. Let's get started.
Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff.
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme,
a podcast where the 2 of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a grooviar.
Let's get groovy.
Okay, when Pat gets back, you guys can do the introduction.
Okay, sounds good.
There you are.
I have my CD in hand here.
Yes, good idea.
Me too.
Yes, and me too. So here we are.
Hold them up.
What, everybody?
Everybody hold them up.
Wait.
They'll seal.
There it is.
Oh,
Richard
wins.
I get them mixed up. I don't know why.
Richard's is bigger than all of ours.
Yeah,
Yes.
as it should be.
Yeah. All right. So, Soraya, we're very, very excited today to be talking to or welcoming back our fabulous co-host, Ronnie Barnett from the Muffs, and from Ronnie Barnett's Boom Boom Room, and from television programs, Unsolved Mysteries. Ronnie, what do you do?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, this isn't about me, Jeff, but I appreciate that. I appreciate
All
that.
right.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the 2 producers of this new 3 CD box set by True West, Kaleidoscope of Shadows, the story so far. So we have Pat Thomas, welcome back, and first-time guest Jim Huie, the current drummer for True West, I understand, and founder of a label that I really enjoyed quite a bit, the Paisley Pop Records label. So that was very cool. And then, surprising to all of us, lead guitarist Richard McGrath. So thank you all for joining today.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Ronnie, I know you have a lot of questions and not a lot of time, so let's get started.
It's okay. Yeah. Well, first off, how was this project in the works for a long time? Whose idea was it to compile everything and finally put it out like this?
Well, I remember a couple of lunches or breakfasts with Russ Tolman at the Talleyrand in Burbank. The idea of kind of putting together, some kind of compilation. But I was really inspired a few years ago by a phone call with Jim Huie, who is not only the drummer of True West in the last decade or two, but a little bit of their archive list. He's played a little bit of the role that I've played for the Dream Syndicate and Steve Wynn, which is holding on to every random demo or cassette or anything that comes his way. So Jim started rattling off about these demos that thankfully Richard had preserved and remixed for this project. Jim knew the live material floating around much better than I did. And so it really just sort of became a meeting of the minds. Over the last, it kind of came together quickly. About 6 months, we kind of whipped it all together.
Yeah, that seems right.
Was it always an idea to self-release it like this, or?
Well, to be blunt, I took it to a couple of obvious labels who turned it down, and frankly, to me, True West have become a little bit of a little bit forgotten in, when we always talk about the Paisley Underground, and admittedly they weren't one of the core 4 or 5 bands, but True West for me in the 80s was getting a ton of press through Bucket Full of Brains and the Bob and whatever. And to me, they were right up there with the Rain Parade, Long Riders, Green and Red Dream Syndicate, etc. And I'm hoping that this 3 CD set, I know there's going to be a review in Mojo and possibly Uncut. These guys are sort of you know, they're overdue for their due.
Yeah.
35 years later.
Absolutely. Richard, what do you think of that term, Paisley Underground? And did you like being lumped in with those other bands?
I don't, fine, yeah, I don't care.
Nice.
I don't know. I didn't think about it, you know.
Yeah.
Underground.
Perfect.
That was just like magazine stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Stuff you read in the magazine.
And if they're writing about you, then it's got to be good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm since we have Richard here, I'd like to really talk about the process of a True West song coming together. I mean, I know that, you know, in the first two albums, you know, Russ is often listed as the primary songwriter, but obviously True West was a band, you know, very much Gavin's vocals, Richard's lead guitar parts, various drummers and bass players. So maybe Richard could kind of address, you know, how we get from a Russ Tolman idea of a song to a True West song, if you remember.
Well, there was, if it's just a Russ Tolman song, it was, he would make a chord change and write some lyrics and then get with Gavin, and Gavin would figure out a melody for it, because Russ couldn't sing the melody.
Mm-hmm.
Or he could do it, you know, not very. And so Gavin would find a melody that fit. If it was a song that I was involved in, I usually give chords, the music to Russ. He would write the words. Then he would get together with Gavin, and they would, you know, turn it into a song. And then they would bring it in, and I would go, "That's nothing like what I gave to you." You know, you turned it all around, but you know, it worked.
Now with the third album, when Russ exits the premises, you and Gavin really had to, you know, kind of step up to the plate and do it yourself. Did you enjoy that process, or was it stressful, or both?
Well, we had a lot of those songs we already had written before, when Russ was still in the band. What we did when Russ left is one of the changes we made is we got rid of the written by Gavin or written by Richard. It just was written by all four. That was a friction in True West, is Russ would bring stuff in and we would work on it and give him guitar hooks and, you know, melodies and all that. But then at the end, it just said Russ Tolman.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at in the first part of my question, which is, you know, True West was a band, not Russ Tolman.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm not saying it was like that all the time, but you know, we looked kind of like we looked at REM and how it was all like, you know, equal. And so that's what we should do. It's just all, you know, so no one feels like left out. So.
Yeah. Would you describe your guitar parts, especially the solos? Are you someone who kind of writes your solos, or does it sort of improv in the studio, or both? How's your approach to studio?
Usually, most of them were just improv. So I got one that was, that one was good.
Yeah.
I know on the EP, I remember doing like solos for maybe It's About Time or Steps at the Door, and I would just be out there with my high watt crank, and Russ would be in the control room, and they play, and I play the solo. Stop. How's that? And then they go, "Oh, that was good. Do it again." Okay, I did it again. Then I would stop. No, I fucked that part up. Okay, start over. And it's just kind of like that, you know. Just I never worked any solos out from beginning to end. They were all just kind of made up on the spot in the studio. And so,
your guitar playing is a huge part of what makes the band special. I mean, not most bands don't have a lead guitar player like you, Richard. I mean,
no, they don't.
Yeah.
No, but you guys understand that when I joined True West, I was like 4 or 5 years older than they were. And I'd been in bands for like 13, 14 years, and you know, including bands up here in the Northwest where you're doing 4 sets a night. You know, it's covers, but you know, Led Zeppelin, you know, Who, all that. But so I'm like this seasoned professional coming into a band where Gavin, this is Gavin's first band as a stand-up lead singer.
Right.
You know? And Russ has been in like 1 or 2 bands, and so there was a perception of like live, and it's mentioned in the liner notes, of me feeling like I was above it all, or I was somehow, you know, on stage I was bored or impassioned, and you know, and all of, you know, it's really not the case. It's just I wasn't rattled on stage because I'd been on stage for my fucking whole life, and I was supremely confident in my playing ability. So when, you know, when we would get on stage and things would go wrong, as sometimes they often would, you know, maybe like me and Kevin were on one side and Russ is over there, and things are, you know, there would be frustrations. You know, that's mentioned in there about how I said, I'm too good to play with these guys. And I never thought that. That was, you know, that was probably just being pissed off at someone breaking a string on the first song, and all of a sudden we're all out of tune, and you know, like, okay. But anyway, yeah. So that's my rant on that.
What are the name of some of those early bands of yours, Richard?
Well, let's see, there was a band called Whiplash. There was just dumb little names. Nothing that I was playing a lot of bands in Sacramento. Then this band from Seattle in 1973 came through, and they needed a drummer and a guitar player. So me and his drummer joined them and came up here and did this Northwest circuit. They were like and it was way different from down there. It was taverns up here. They didn't have hard liquor, so they were bigger places. You know, down there it was like little cocktail lounges if we played a club, and up here it was like these big taverns that just served beer and wine, and so we came up here and did like Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Washington, doing that circuit. You know, it was like Rod Stewart, the Rolling Stones, you know, Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Beck, that kind of stuff. But you know, it was good. It was good experience, you know, made me better.
Yeah.
Now you were in this band called Permanent Wave.
Yeah, when I came back from there.
That's on this compilation.
Yeah, I joined them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm on that. They were a new wave band that turned into the Mumbles.
Oh, okay. So that was pre-Mumbles.
That turned into the Mumbles.
Who was the bassist on that one?
Mike Palmer and Frank French were in that band.
Right, okay.
And then all 3 of us ended up in True West and made the EP. So.
Right. But let's talk about Pat and Jim, your relationship. You guys go way back, right? Are you not from the same town?
Yeah, we met in Rochester around 1983. So Jim was there for all the Absolute Gray stuff, and Jim was in a band. I sometimes playfully call it our sister band. They only put out a 7-inch single there called Invisible Party, with a mutual good friend of ours, Chaz Lockwood, and this lead singer named Stan Merrill, who was a sort of a local celebrity DJ, Stan the Man. So yeah, Jim also worked at the Record Archive, which was the record store at the time. So yeah, I have a long history with Jim. And like I said, you know, Jim really went through hours and hours of live tapes from the 80s. And I kind of was more the foreman or micromanager of Jim. Jim, dig deeper, you know, take that forklift, move it over there, get that shovel out. But Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
I was out by Richard, actually, who had years ago turned over some CDs he had of live stuff, which I don't know where he got the soundboard or something, and like of the Sweden show, and which was really, really good. And there was some other stuff I dug up. Originally, I was in this surf band called Cousin Al and the Relatives, and we had opened up for True West's first show in Rochester, New York, and that's when I first met them, and they were, wow, you know, just overwhelming, just like huge. I thought they were totally professional at the time.
Oh, yeah.
They were also one of the loudest bands I'd ever seen. And as I found out too later when I got to play with them years later, they're pretty loud.
So Jim, I had a question about like the source material. Was a lot of it digital already, or was all of it digital, or was there any tape? So it sounds like Richard had some CDs, but
Right.
were there any tapes that you were pulling from?
I had a number of cassette tapes I went through and transferred some over, but it was, you know, it's hard to find what there was. You know, there could have, if we had maybe 4 CDs, we could have used more of that stuff. But we digitized, and then I reformatted some audio.
Since we have Richard here, these demos were like a 4-track cassette player, right?
Yeah, that was.
So you know, there's your analog sources there, Jeff.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I had an 84, I guess. I bought a little Foss 6 X15 and then just started making demos, making songs. And then, you know, when Russ, at that, I don't know, somewhere along the line, Russ had some songs, so we recorded those with Gavin. And, when I was going through digging those out, I was going to mention this. I came across 4 tracks I did with Donette. Well, I know you guys are.
Oh, in theory, yeah.
Yeah, because I did a show with her and Scott Miller in 1984 while I was still in True West. And we recorded the music of the rehearsal. Then she came over and put vocals on it, on my 4-track. And I have that somewhere.
Ah.
It's not very good though.
Right.
These guys are calling you in 2 minutes asking if they can hear that.
No, I smell another release here, the unreleased demos of Richard McGrath.
Yeah.
Various projects, yeah.
Pat, you know me too well to know that I definitely would love to hear that.
No.
I mean, Richard McGrath and Donette there, come on.
No.
I'm all about that.
Interesting. And then Gavin was the drummer in Donette's old band too, so it's all
together.
Yeah, he was.
Let's talk a little bit about Kevin, who unfortunately died early. And you know, Jim said to me, although Jim wasn't there, but he's played with you guys enough, he felt that Kevin was sort of the glue that sort of brought you guys together in terms of your diverse personalities and stuff. I don't know, Richard, any thoughts on Kevin?
Yeah, he was young. He was like 5 years younger than everyone, like maybe 10 years younger than me. He was just a real character, you know, and everyone just really likable guy.
And as Russ said once, the only guy who really looked like a rock star in the band.
Yeah. Well, he you know, he practiced his moves. You know, he was all about Jimmy Page, moving like Jimmy Page, and he'd be in the hotel room or you know wherever there was a mirror. You know, he's working on that, and it worked. I mean, you know.
Any thoughts, or Richard, on how Gavin wound up being the singer because he had just been a drummer before? Any thoughts how he wound up fronting this group?
On how he what?
How Gavin went from being a drummer to a singer. Any memories of that or thoughts on that?
I don't know, because I just knew him from the Suspects, and then I went and saw, I guess it was True West at a bar. Frank was playing drums and Gavin was the singer, and they were trying to be U2, sound like U2, with just one guitar but a lot of echo. And I thought, yeah, well, okay. I don't remember thinking much about it. Just I don't know if I knew he sang or not.
Somebody once said Frank French was the best drummer of any band he was in, but then he'd always quit the band after 2 minutes.
No, that's not true.
No.
He was good, but he was high maintenance, I guess you would say.
Jim Huie, of course, a little low maintenance drummers.
Jim Huey's low maintenance, yeah. Well, low maintenance and need of repair usually.
Yeah.
Needs maintenance. But no, Frank was he was good, but yeah, I don't know.
So when you split with Russ, Richard, how was it always just you and Gavin were just committed to going forward at that point and keeping the name?
Well, I think what happened is no, we didn't plan on keeping the name, but the label said, yeah, we'll do your record, but you got to be True West. And of course that just opened up the whole can of, because I don't think we were planning on being. It wasn't like we're kicking you out, Russ, and we're going on as True West. We're just gonna leave, make it a new band and a new name. But then we got stuck with, well, we'll sign you, but as True West. So of course then Russ sued us and that whole thing.
Right. Well, it's good that Hand of Fate is getting more attention with this release, because it really is an unheralded work, I think, and I think it still holds up, possibly even better than Drifters, if I do say so.
Wow,
yeah. That's pretty heavy talk there, Ron.
Yeah. Well, it's probably production more than anything, right? I mean, I think I just think it sounds.
I think
better.
they both have that '80s sheen, which kind of bugs me. That '80s big studio sheen, big reverb, big.
I think many of us said to ourselves, including Matt Pucci, damn, the third album is way better than we remembered it, because many of us played it once or twice at the time, filed it away. So it is kind of fun to hear it, come back out 35 years later. It does sound better.
Yeah, it's all right. It's got some weak songs on it, but it's what we had at the time. So
did you tour that record, Richard?
Yeah, we did one tour.
Okay.
With it, went to the East Coast and back, but.
One of the things I always loved about True West, and some of this is reflected on Disc 3, I loved when you guys did other people's songs, and I don't mean they were better than your own songs, but you guys just had a great way of doing covers, whether it was Elvis or Iggy or what have you. I mean, the covers are great. It was always one of my favorite parts of hearing you guys.
I don't remember doing Iggy. I mean, I remember doing it live, but I don't remember the studio recording of it.
Right.
When Russ said, "Do you have a copy of this?" I said, well, "What is this a live version?" It's a studio version. I have no memory of doing. I guess we did it in the Drifters session, but I don't remember at all. But,
yeah, I was actually thinking more of Lust for Life. I mean, when you guys tore into that the first time I heard it, because it wasn't something I was expecting you guys to play. I love the fact it was a little, and then of course there's even a Richard Lloyd cover on here, Alchemy, and I don't think anyone else has covered Alchemy.
Right.
Yeah, we had a hard time. Actually, we had a hard time picking covers that everyone could agree on. I think still do. But those are the ones. I don't know. Those are the ones.
Yeah. So
Richard,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that one of the things that I was really excited about with the new box set is the Tom Verlaine Sessions that finally got released.
Yeah.
Soraya and I have both been very curious about those, and those ever seeing the light of day. Do you have any memories about the session that you'd like to share?
He was pretty nice, and I remember showing him, I think it was the guitar riff to "It's About Time," which is right off of Marquee Moon. And I remember him spilling coffee on to the Neve desk, and I remember him,
You guys didn't get charged for that.
We didn't, and I'm surprised they were able to fix it and get it working, within a couple hours, because it was like, vintage Neve desk.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God. Luckily, he did it, not one of us.
Right. That would have been a disaster. Yeah. So, Richard, as a guitarist yourself, were you a fan of television going into that session?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I discovered them like in 1977 when I was up here. I was in a country band after one of those tavern bands. I joined an outlaw country band, played like Waylon Jennings, and it was in that outlaw period. Remember that? And Willie Nelson and all that. Mm-hmm. And this was like right before New Wave, or right as New Wave was starting to happen. And it was great. I played in that band for about a year or so, because I had nowhere to live and I had no job, no money, and that band provided both. But also it was a great learning experience playing those songs, because I realized that those simple 3-chord songs that, I've been playing all this rock stuff, and then I went to this country band and playing all this kind of simple thing. It was just like the Ramones, only slowed down, or it was just like, all these new wave bands were playing. I'm going, wait, well, this is, I just fit right into this. So I went back to Sacramento. That's when I joined Permanent Wave. And, the only thing about the new wave bands and the mumbles and like Permanent Wave is no guitar solos. We couldn't do guitar solos. That's out.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So I had to make all my solos just brief little Chuck Berry kind of things, And then when I joined True West, solos were back in, and I could. I was like, oh, okay, good.
Nice.
Good.
I can do this. So
nice. So Jim, as the band's archivist, when did you start archiving material for True West?
Geez, I had stuff back in the 80s.
Wow.
Live things, but 90s, digitized what I could. Actually, the way I got a demo was a friend of mine, Chaz, had somehow, maybe, I guess Russ was going to produce his band Lotus SDP, and Russ shared with him like a demo of something, and that's when I first heard Russ's demos. And somehow Chaz got a hold of the demo for Looking for an Angel, which I don't know where he got it. And then, so I knew about that, or maybe Richard shared that with me, but I had it in low fidelity. And I was shocked when Richard had a number of songs that I had never heard on demos, and I was like, we got to get these on the box set, I'm a fan. And Richard's like, they're demos. Why would anybody want to hear
well, I mean,
You're like,
they're embarrassing.
To you, but that's, maybe that's why the Beatles didn't put Decca tapes or whatever till anthology. But I was like, oh my God. And plus the lost songs, but to hear what would have been, early version of Looking for an Angel. And I don't know if there was early demo of Hand of Fate anywhere, but I found that was on a live, some live shows you did with Russ around then. And that was really cool, but it was for it didn't make the end, the box we ended up doing because the take of it was really low fidelity. So there's a lot of shows
not
that
up to those 4-track fidelity standards.
those were clean. Those were clean. Those were clean. I gotta say.
Well, I'm glad that I'm glad that we presented those how they really were recorded. Just didn't try to modernize them by, making them, I don't know, better. That's just how they sounded in 1984.
Yeah, me too.
Well, Jeff Lynne turned us down for doing that. Mick Jagger was going to add some vocals.
No songwriting credits on this thing, you guys.
That is weird.
That is a lot of. We had nothing to do with the artwork or the, other than the liner notes Pat sent in for the credits. That was strange, and
okay,
I would like to have just seen them first, but we were pushed for time, and Russ made some executive decisions, on space. We'd already allocated so much space and whatever. So
yeah.
Okay. Well,
I haven't listened to it. I've only listened to the first demo, and I think I don't know if I listened to, well, maybe the first one off of Hand of Fate, but how's it sound? I really,
Oh, it sounds great. The musical content is great. I'm listening to Hand of Fate, and I started. You said it earlier, Richard, that you all took, band songwriting credit, but I was wondering, like, who wrote these songs in this lineup? And I'm like, I looked through the booklet like 10 times. I swear to God, I'm like, and I'm like, there's no songwriting credits here. Yeah, so. Maybe in the second pressing we lose one of these snapshots and put some songwriting credits. What do you think, Pat?
Yes. So since Richard has spent so much time in the Pacific Northwest, I just wanted to nerd out here, because when I think of the Pacific Northwest and Richard being there, I think of another one of my favorite guitar players, Jerry Miller. Have you ever encountered Jerry up there?
He used to play at just these small little bars at Pioneer Square. Back in the 90s, I guess. But I never saw him.
Oh, okay.
I think he's not around anymore, is he?
No, he lives in Tacoma. In fact,
okay.
Seattle newspaper just did like a full page feature on him.
Okay.
I just thought you guys might have.
I'm probably thinking of Henry Bestian.
Yeah.
And who is Jerry Miller, Pat?
Jerry Miller was the lead guitar player for Moby Grape.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had 3 guitar players, but Jerry was always the Richard McGrath Moby Grape.
Gotcha.
Hence he ended up in Seattle.
Exactly. That's where they go. The Richard McGraths of various bands, including himself, they retire in Seattle.
Going back to the demos for a moment, I was surprised Into the Light was done live with True West before. Got a live version. I think we put the live version on there and the
yes.
We did.
Yes.
Right. And I love that song. And later the Fool Killers did it, and I little plug, I did put it out on CD. So there's a studio version of that. But I was surprised you guys didn't do it on Hand of Fate out.
Yeah, I don't know. Russ asked that too. I don't remember what the decision, why, because we had the song. I don't know. And it's better, and it's better than, at least 8 of the other songs on that album. So I don't know why.
You're their harshest critic.
I don't know. I don't know why. Because we did it on the next album, on the Fool Killers album.
Right.
That's weird. I don't know.
So Richard, I'm always fascinated by album sequencing. Were you any part of that process in the records? Any of the sequencing, or did you leave it to the other guys?
Not on the True West. Well, on the Hand of Fate prop maybe, but not on Drifters or the EP.
Okay.
I don't remember. Yeah, probably on the Hand of Fate I was.
Okay.
Definitely on the Fool Killer stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Ronnie, I thought for sure you'd want to ask about the Fool Killers.
Yeah, well, I mean, now the Fool and now we have Jim here who's talking about how he's released Fool Killers.
Do you have that CD handy?
I would like to have
I do.
I have them somewhere. How about a Fool Killers retrospective like this, Jim?
No, hold on. It's right here. He's already done it, Ron. Look at this.
That's not everything though, right?
Well, it's everything you need.
That's an opinion. Yeah.
Well,
I like comprehensive ones. That's why I like this one.
Actually,
it's got every, yeah.
If we want to super nerd out here, when I first approached Jim, I wanted to put the Fool Killers 7-inch on here. I didn't realize Jim had already put it out. So the idea is not only would we have Hand of Fate, but we kind of tell the story up to the point of the Fool Killers start. And frankly, if we'd had the space, we would have done it. It was kind of amazing to me how quickly we filled up 3 CDs. Right?
Well, their live takes were pretty long with all.
I mean,
the guitar solos on the lives, you know.
Yeah.
Cut that down, maybe.
And in fact, we the original track listing had more live material because I somehow thought we could squeeze it all in, you know.
Yeah.
I think 4 discs would have been a little cost prohibitive and a little over the top.
Yeah.
But, you know.
We should probably explain to people who don't know too, the Fool Killers was a group that Richard and Gavin continued on with and made 2 albums, I believe.
We made one in Sacramento and we made one up here. Yeah.
So that is 2 albums.
That's 2 albums, yeah. But
yeah.
And then you guys moved. How did you decide to move to the?
Well, first off, we made the full. Kevin died, so, and then by then Steve wanted to be. He was done being a drummer. He wanted to be a singer, songwriter, guitar player. So he went, and so me and Gavin made the Fool Killers album in Sacramento with John Bacigalupi and.
Tape Op.
Yeah, from Tape Op. And then while we're waiting for that to come out, I joined a band called the Rough Riders, which was John McCrae from Cake. I don't know if you know. He's the lead.
Cake, yeah, they were big.
Yeah. Me and Frank played with him for, I don't know, about a year or maybe less than a year. And did a lot of the songs that are on that first Cake album. And then I moved to LA because my wife got a job in LA. So I moved to LA and I answered an ad and got a job with Stan Ridgway doing
how about that?
Yeah, I did a European and American tour with him in 1989. And by the way, I saw one on your list of things you were talking about. Mary's Danish. Yeah, they were our opening act with on the Stan Ridgway tour for like on the West Coast. I think the guitar player from 3 O'Clock was in that band.
Right.
Yeah, I met him.
Greg, depending on what day of the week it is.
Hey, what are you doing here? Hey, what are you doing? Well, you know, what a coincidence. And so, then after that those tours ended. The marriage ended, the girlfriend's up here, Gavin's up here, so I came up here. And we put a little band together like in 91 with a rhythm section, played for about a year. And then this thing called grunge hit. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. It just
rings a bell.
It's like, forget it, we're done. We don't fit in, we're out of here. So then it just became record at home, buy recording equipment, record at home, and that's what we did. That's what I've been doing.
Well, tell them about the backwards guitar you used live.
The what?
Backwards guitar when you had.
Oh yeah, well in that band I used it was a 3-piece with Gavin as the lead singer. I used this backwards tape thing to fill out the sound. So I had me playing regular, then out of another amplifier, this backwards guitar stuff coming out.
Wow.
It was pretty cool, you know. It was sounded, you know.
It play a part in like one key, and then.
Well, you had to stay in, you know,
right.
in one key. We did a show with Thin White Rope when they came up here, and that was kind of cool.
Let's. Some people might not know that. For a while, anyway, True West was doing gigs not that long ago with Jim on drums. So Jim, it must have been pretty cool to go from sort of fanboy to band member.
Oh yeah,
that's always kind of a cool thing, for sure.
Totally.
I remember you guys did you do a tour with the Violent Femmes, or certainly some gigs, right?
We did several opening gigs down in California, including the House of Blues and the Fillmore.
Yeah.
And I remember I think was it the first show was at the Fillmore?
Was that the Fillmore?
I was at the Fillmore.
Okay. No, the Fillmore.
Yeah.
Well, but that was a show we did, but later, right? But later we did the other where we did the series of dates, and it was at the House of Blues. Yes. And the bass player and I flew down from Portland that day. And for some reason, our plane got delayed, and we were stuck in we had to fly from San Francisco. I think we were stuck in San Francisco because of fog. Mm-hmm. And then we got to the Orange County airport, and they had lost our luggage.
Including instruments and things.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, so the story is he and the bass player showed up at the House of Blues. They had no clothes. So he had like a Mickey Mouse shirt on that he bought down the street at a gift shop. The other guy was dressed like the Big Lebowski. I had the shorts.
I didn't have a Mickey Mouse shirt. I bought a regular.
And then they videotaped it, and and it came out as a DVD
and released it. Yeah.
Right. But we didn't miss sound check, and so I was tremendously nervous.
Oh,
and we get out there, and the audience is there, for Violent Femmes, and then suddenly there's these cameras. But Richard, when he gets on stage, suddenly he's the edge. And it's it was amazing.
Yeah.
I was watching him, and I was like, oh my God, we are like in a rock band, stage presence, as long as you just look at Richard,
Jim, you got it. Jim, you got to travel the day before the tour starts. That was a rookie mistake right there. Yeah,
that was it, baby. I had no idea. Come on, going down to LA, what weather?
Yep.
So,
wow. Well, guys, this has been great. The fact this thing exists, and great to have Richard with us. It's always nice to actually have somebody who was there. Telling us what it was like, and it was great tag teaming this with Jim. The older I get, I don't want to do all the fucking heavy lifting anymore. To be honest, so
yeah. Hey guys, congratulations to all three of you. It looks great. It sounds great. It exists. It's it's history. It exists. It's fantastic. So well done.
Yeah. Ronnie, you saw the band back in the day, right, in Texas?
I did. I saw Richard. I saw you like 3 times. I'm from Houston, Texas.
Oh.
And it seems like those 3 times were within a year and a half. Like, you guys worked hard back then. Like, I saw the REM gig, and I saw you at a club called Fitzgerald's. I think the other times, but yeah, one of my favorite bands from back then and since and everything. So this is a real honor to talk to you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Soraya, we might as well pimp it while we're here. So if anybody that's listening doesn't have it, and I'm hoping that most of our listeners do have this, it's available truewest.bandcamp.com. And I think Russ said, if you want to Google it, make sure you add Kaleidoscope of Shadows, because you might get something else, another True West. But truewest.bandcamp.com. It's called Kaleidoscope of Shadows, the story so far. 3 CDs. And I will just add, piggybacking on something that Pat said earlier, that I think for me personally, listening to it on the CD, it sounds much better. And I was one that did listen to the last album and file it away. But hearing it on here, it's so much better to me personally. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's the time that's passed or the sound quality, but it just sounds fantastic on here. So Richard, I recommend you listen to the CD.
I just want to give a shout out to Gary Habish, who actually recorded the third album. He remastered this entire box, and did it at a very reasonable price. It was a kind of a labor of love for him. So I just want to shout out to Gary, because he was a key part of the team here.
Excellent.
Great.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining. Richard, thank you for joining on the 11th hour. Very much surprised, a nice surprise. And Jim and Pat, congratulations on, and thank you for all the hard work that you two did also on putting this out. And Ronnie, as always, thanks, man.
Hey, pleasure being here.
You can still hit that party, Ron. You can hit that party.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. I don't want to arrive too late, Pat. I'm not an all-nighter anymore.
All right, okay, Pat.
Yeah. Too bad I won't see you there.
I know.
Okay.
All right, you guys. Thanks again. Later. We really appreciate it.
Okay.
And cut.
Perfect, Jim. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
All right. Sure. I was glad Richard was able to do it.
Yeah, that was a very pleasant and unexpected surprise, I will say.
And very forthcoming.
I don't know if he's ever been interviewed.
Wow.
Really?
I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing an interview with him.
We couldn't find any.
So, right.
Let me tell you.
All right. Yeah.
He's amazing. Really forthcoming, honest, but great anecdotes and super humorous. I mean, he's got a killer sense of humor.
His sense of humor is like that's always one of the best things about playing with him at any time. Because there was a couple of number of times where it was like, it seemed like sometimes disaster would be happening, and Richard was able to always offset it with like just some dry comments that just would,
Oh no, she's got a biting humor. It's so great. Yeah. Jim, I'm gonna ask one more question before you hang up. Okay. How much more material really do you have in your archives? Like enough for another CD or two? It sounds like there are a lot more demos and live tracks.
Pat's calling.
Okay, we'll let you go. We'll let you go.
Well,
by the bell.
There's more for live stuff. There's live stuff we left off, but they only wrote so many songs.
Right.
So how many? It's like how many times can you listen to "Won't Get Fooled Again" live or something? As far as comparing it to something. But
I mean,
yeah, there's other things. And there's a few songs that didn't make it, and there might be other demos that I haven't heard,
Sounds like Richard's got a bunch of them.
he might have some more. It's just a matter of digging them out.
Yeah.
I still have some more cassettes that are unlabeled I could go through, but it's a lot going through.
It's a lot.
So, right.
Oh my gosh. But thank you. Thank you again. This is really a special collection.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm glad we have it. I'm glad it happened.
Well, great. And thank you for including us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. I'll see y'all later.
All right, Jen.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Soraya, can you believe that?
Okay. First of all, Richard McGrath, welcome anytime. Anytime. This guy's got, first of all, a great memory and a great recall of steps and process. He's just got really good stories, and his sense of humor is killer. I was enchanted.
I have to say, Soraya, that there was a couple times, because the humor is so dry and biting, as you said. I was like, after he said a couple of the quips, I was like, is it okay for me to laugh? Because that's freaking hilarious. But I was like, is it supposed to be funny? Because it's hilarious to me, some of those comments. But
if Jim Huie is correct and that Richard hasn't been interviewed before, that is a massive oversight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Massive oversight. Because just look at the bands he's been in. And of course, now I'm going to go research Permanent Wave because now I want to hear this. I'm familiar with his work on True West and the solos. And now I'm like, I want to hear him just do 3 chords, you know, and not and be excuse me, limited in his solos. But this demo with Donette,
yes, I know.
I want to hear that.
Yeah.
And he kind of brushed it off like, oh, it's nothing to listen to, but I want to hear it.
Yeah.
4 tracks, 1984. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Him, Scott Miller, and Donette there. Yeah, I want to hear that.
Yeah, of course.
And then the story of Kevin, like that factor in True West is interesting to me.
Yeah.
I have so much. Well, one of the good things that I think is going to come is that this set is going to be reviewed in Mojo, and it should.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it deserves it, is the better term. But how did you love Ronnie's question? So what did you think about the label Paisley Underground? That was just magazine stuff. I paid no attention to it.
I kind of expected that answer from him. So, but I'm glad he asked that. I mean, it's definitely appropriate for, if nothing else, for our podcast. But no matter where you look, and we've talked about this before, sorry, no matter where you look, wherever True West is mentioned, even on some of their own press releases, Paisley Underground always comes up. In relation to True West. So whether they were or not, there's always that connection being made. And of course, Richard is right. I mean, it is a magazine. It is a journalistic categorization, but yeah, so I think he's totally right. But I'm glad that Ronnie asked that, and I'm not surprised at the answer.
I mean, like, I'm going through my notes and I have so many notes. But what he said about the demos, what Richard said about the demos, oh, they're embarrassing. And I'll bet you money that there's more stuff that's not embarrassing versus embarrassing. But it's telling for me that Richard hears things in a track that he wants to hear again, and like he said, it's been a while, or that record has that 80s sheen, with lots of reverb. So, being part of it, he knows the sound that he wants to hear. And so to me, it's just, this is a guy who's truly driven by the music and knows what he likes and isn't afraid to voice that.
Yeah.
Like I just found his opinions to be really, really poignant, because he was direct, he was honest, pulled no punches. And, to tell the story of True West, you have to tell the whole story. And that includes when True West continues without Russ.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought his telling of that story was very open and honest and forthcoming. And he didn't try to gloss it, but he said, this is exactly what happened. And when a label tells you, yeah, we'll sign you, but you have to continue with the name of your old band. But he was ready to do something different.
Yeah.
Him and Gavin.
Yeah, or call it something different.
So to me, the story of True West is just, it's an interesting one. And then I'm just happy that he agreed to
Yes.
come on.
Oh my gosh.
And Pat Thomas, God bless him, because he asked the right questions
Oh yeah.
that got Richard talking. And, you know, he didn't give one-word answers. He gave very elaborate answers. So that's why I say, I underline, Richard McGrath is welcome here anytime. Whether or not that happens, I just want to say it on the record.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. And I will say that there's something that I thought was very interesting about these forthcoming responses, is that there's some stuff in here in the liner notes that he even clarified or corrected, right? So I thought that was very interesting.
You know, and I think it takes an honest person to take a look and say, you know, my behavior may send a message that really wasn't true. So it's kind of, it's clarifying. And also it's just saying, like, maybe people just really misunderstood me and what I was doing.
Yep.
You know, because Jeff, can you imagine that all those solos are just improv? I mean, I can't and I can't.
Yeah, I can't do that, but somebody at his level, I can see.
And then, hold on. I loved the question that Pat asked about the process of a song coming together. So here's my diagram. It goes,
wow.
Bloop,
Look
bloop,
at
bloop.
that. Look at that.
It's because I was fascinated by this process where he said, so Russ would come up with a chord change in lyrics, pass it on to Gavin, and Gavin would find the melody. I'm there. And then he said, or I give some chords. And then it would go back to Russ. So like, it's like, it either goes this way or that way. But I also found it to be a really honest response about the songwriting credit. And I mean, you know, with time, some things, Spanish, there's a great expression. I don't have one in English, where it's like dorar la píldora. You know, you kind of say things to just kind of let it pass. But I think it was an honest discussion about, you know, at the time of the album and the songs were coming out, the credits said Russ Stallman. Fair enough. And then when there's this other vision of the band, then it was equal. Yes. You know, and it was a shared, it wasn't a singular songwriter, but rather a collective songwriter.
Yep. Group effort.
And I think that is a very, very interesting element to the story of the band. I mean, look, you've got gold on this CD, from especially with these great demos and live versions and covers and you know, on and on and on. But we've got this remastered third album.
Yes, on CD.
Deserves to be listened to. And I do agree with you and Ronnie, and I believe Jim and or Pat may have alluded to the same thing. Listening to it after time has passed, there's a different appreciation for that album. And I think at the time it was released, I agree. Hear it once, like you said, you know, I heard it then, and you know, and then it went back into the collection. And I think with time, also it's remastered really well.
Agreed.
You hear it differently. I don't know, maybe it's colored with time, maybe because a lot of time has passed. I couldn't tell you what, but I think there is a different appreciation for that third album, thanks to it being remastered and added. And then we've got all this extra stuff. But
amazing.
Amazing. Hats off to the powers that be and to Richard McGrath for coming on and talking about his time with True West.
Yeah,
I can't thank him enough.
Agreed. And Pat and Jim coming on, who put
Beautiful.
all the work and made this thing happen. So
Jeff, how many fans can say that? I went from a fan to a band member.
Wow. Yeah,
I mean,
that's crazy.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Definitely.
I freaking love it. Oh my God, this was fun.
Yeah, very, very, very fun. And I will say this is probably our last one for the year. So
I was gonna say, if this is how we're ending 2021, this is a nice send-off.
Agreed.
Because this is pretty killer. And just for our own sake, this discussion went beyond what we thought it would.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
In terms of time. And I'm very grateful to Jim Huie, to Richard McGrath, to Pat Thomas, and to Ronnie Barnett.
Absolutely.
Because we had a different vision.
Yeah, we did.
And we just let it go.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Yeah. Our original plan for content.
It wasn't the time that usually Pat likes, which is short and sweet.
Yeah.
But I think we got some really wonderful discussion out of having Jim, Pat, and Richard McGrath here. So
absolutely.
So, mi gente, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Solstice, or what is it? Winter is the winter equinox. Whatever you celebrate and however you celebrate, health and peace now and into the new year.
Absolutely.
And where we hope to bring you new episodes and more fun stuff.
Absolutely.
So, on that note, Jeff, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Año Nuevo, and a grubear.
Groove on, Paisley people.